Today is Memorial Day in the United States. It's a day when we remember the people who gave their lives in the service of our country. And it's a day off for most of us from work. And on Memorial Day, it's a day when we actually stop doing what we're doing to remember the people who gave their lives in service in the military in our country, who sacrificed. The ultimate sacrifice is what it's often called, their life, to give us the freedom to continue to live in a free country like the United States of America. Now, I realize that people all over the globe may hear this live stream, and so we chose to go ahead and do it on Memorial Day instead of moving it to tomorrow, because I've just felt like I can make a little bit of a sacrifice too. It's not terrible difficulty for me to do this, although I'm not too sure many people will listen to it live, and that's okay. I hope everyone enjoys their long weekend for Memorial Day in the U.S. And for people all over the rest of the globe, I hope you can join us. Our passage today is Ephesians 4:29. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. That's Ephesians 4:29 from the New American Standard Bible. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth. This is a particular weakness of mine. We've been talking about this all month. We've been talking about how to lift others up, how to make a more positive difference in the world, and how to be an encouragement to others by appreciating them. I think the calling of the church is to be appreciative of other people. So often we get into these negative complaining matches about the people who don't agree with us. We are critical and we comment harshly about the things that happen on both sides, both those who are conservative and those who are liberal. We get into these conversations and we operate on a horizontal plane, left and right, versus on a vertical plane, Jesus and earth. The bottom line is we have much more in common than we want to acknowledge. And this passage is a great reminder of that. Let's bring it up again. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. Notice, first of all, that Paul is not encouraging us to fix everyone else. I'm sorry, but the solution to the world's problems and things like that is that we fix ourselves. I see Wendy has joined us. Thanks for joining, Wendy. And it looks like someone else joined too. Bonnie just joined as well. Glad you could join us. And so back to our verse, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth. That's a convicting command to me. But only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. I think a challenge for believers is to live in a way where other people see the grace of God by the way that we speak and the way that we appreciate them. And that is a challenge for me. It's so easy to jump to a conclusion or speak negatively about someone who doesn't drive the way I drive, or someone who believes differently than I believe. I see all the negative political ads. They disappoint me so much. I don't understand why anyone needs to bring up anything negative about their opponent. Just simply tell us what you stand for, and then let us make a decision. If you're afraid that your message will get drowned out by the other evil messages that are going on or the good ones that are going on, then make a point to live a better life, to do a better job, to be more wholesome, as this passage challenges us. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification. That's a stilted word that's very complicated and very nice, but it means to lift other people up, to edify them, to make them better, to make us better. We can give a word that makes other people better according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. So often, I say things that are for my own edification. They make me feel better, but they don't necessarily make anyone else feel better. I don't want to be that way. I want to live a life that's different because I'm a Jesus follower. And there are some days when that's a little more difficult than others. And maybe you're going through a discouraged time right now. Maybe Jesus has let a lot of the air out of your float. And you need to think more about Jesus and what he's called us to do. He always calls us to do the right thing, regardless of how we feel. Our feelings will follow. So often in our world, we put our feelings as the engine of the train instead of the caboose. You probably heard that analogy. Our feelings follow our actions. Our feelings follow how we spend our money. Where our treasure is, there our heart will be also. Our energy and our passion typically follow the things that we do because we know we should. We do them, we practice them, we put them into action, and then our feelings follow. And I think Jesus is, and the Apostle Paul in this letter to the Ephesians, he's challenging us to be people who speak well. The sharp dialogue that happens in social media, the negative complaining. I confess I'm very conservative in my politics, and yet I wish the conservative side didn't act like they weren't believers and they didn't follow this message. I think there are a lot of conservative people who are not Christ followers, and you should be able to distinguish us from the conservative people who are not Christ followers because of things like this, that we would let no unwholesome word proceed from our mouth. Once again, remember, I'm guilty of this. I'm judging myself in today's message. But this, I think, is our challenge, is to lift others up. We've been called by Christ to lift others up. And Paul is repeating that command here. We have an opportunity to live differently by the way we speak. What comes out of our mouth is a mirror of what's in our heart. And as Jesus said, it's not what goes into a man that makes him defiled. It's what comes out of him. Our words defile us because they show what's going on the inside. Let no unwholesome word come out of your mouth. And Bonnie put a note in here about how she heard Adrian Rogers talk about not even using sub-bad language. Words that may not sound exactly the same, but make a person immediately think about the actual cuss word. That's a great thing, Bonnie, because I typically go ahead and cuss, which is part of the problem. I've got to stop doing that. I have terrible habits with my own speech. But those substitute words for cuss words are also bad too, because we're saying the same thing. We're basically letting the unwholesomeness of the inside of us leak out into the world. But it's not so much about our choice of words or that certain words have a better grade than others. That's not the point. I think the point is that we want to lift other people up. My parents used to tell me that if you can't find something nice to say, don't say anything. It was another generation that actually said that you should only speak when you're spoken to. And that's another thing. But I want to be someone who's not always injecting my opinion into everything. We believe much more of what we discover than what we are told. And if I'm constantly volunteering information, I'm not convincing anyone. But if I live a different life and then I'm asked and people discover those reasons, it makes more sense. We have this opportunity to live gracious, wholesome, forgiving lives. And then when we're asked about that, then we can tell them. And they discover that our faith leads to a different lifestyle. And that's what makes our faith so miraculous. It totally does produce results. Our faith is living and active, just like the Word of God. It's living and active and sharper than any two-edged sword. What we do matters forever. And Jesus chooses to act according to our faith. That's the model that he set up. Faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen, it says in Hebrews 11. And so we want to be those people who, by faith, are doing things. It's when our faith actually produces action that people see it. That's the only way your faith becomes visible. Your faith only becomes visible as you act. When you choose to act out of your faith by doing something, for example, for someone because Christ told you to, or when you choose to not act because of your faith, when you choose not to use unwholesome words, but when you choose to lift other people up. I want to be the kind of person who is intentionally trying to lift other people up with everything I say, every word. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification, according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. I want every word out of my mouth to be edifying. Lord, forgive me for that, because it's not even close. But hopefully it starts getting closer every day, beginning today. That's the kind of anchor I want to drop in the ground today. I don't want to go any farther down this road than I've gone. So today, I want to try and lift other people up. This is all part of our series on appreciating others that we've been going through the entire month of May. And you can check the other live streams that we did. The recordings are available on our YouTube channel. And hopefully we're going to get these recordings available for you in our blog soon. One of the things I want to start doing a little more too, through all of this, through our vision casts and other things we do, is asking people to volunteer. Please pray for this ministry, and more than that, pray for the movement of Faith at Work. Pray that more and more Christians step up and do things with their faith so that it becomes visible. The world needs us to live like Jesus today, and that's our calling. And also, I would like to ask you to consider becoming a volunteer for Follower of One. Volunteer to lead a group. Volunteer to head up a Faith at Work Life group call, which we have the Faith at Work Life group meeting again this Wednesday evening. We want to have Faith at Work Life group calls at all different times during a week, so that we're calling believers into this discussion of how we live out our faith every day. Or you can volunteer as a member, someone who shares our content on social media. You can volunteer as someone who helps produce our content. If you have experience with WordPress and would like to help us post more of our content on our blog, that would be helpful. If you're willing to share our content in LinkedIn or to connect with people, that would be helpful. There are literally an unlimited number of volunteer positions that can happen, because we want to be this group of busy Christians, busy living out our faith, praying for others, appreciating others, knowing what we believe, serving others, and speaking for ourselves. We have the 5 daily habits. We have a great strategy for how we can live our faith under any circumstances and in any workplace. At the same time, we also have the Holy Spirit living in us, making everything possible. And so he has called us to do things like this live stream. Chris Castro produces it and uploads it to YouTube. We need someone to help us share it on our blog and to help run our blog. I would love for somebody to own our website so that they're communicating the different things that are happening in our community to the world, and inviting every believer on the planet to be part of this community that's trying to encourage other people to live out their faith. We've been given this great opportunity and a great calling. And there are jobs to be done in it. Praying for the people who listen to our material, and praying for the people who are trying to figure out how to live their faith. That's one way you can do that today. And you can join our prayer team, you can join our volunteer community, and you can take a friend on a marketplace mission trip. These are all designed to help us mobilize more Christians to living out our faith every day, because the world doesn't change until God's people become visible, doing God's work, living out those 5 daily habits. That's the calling we've been given. So consider yourself invited. Find a place to chip in and join us, because there's much work to be done. Our world is definitely no oasis. It's not what God would intend it to be, but it is exactly his strategy for saving his people. He's calling us all to him, and we can all join him in that great call. We can all join him in that job by helping everyone we meet move one notch closer to Jesus. I'm excited that you joined us today on May 25th in Owasso, Oklahoma is where I am, but all over the globe on the internet. We have this great opportunity to live out our faith every day. What we do because we follow Jesus matters forever. And God has given us this great ability to simply choose how we speak and watch it matter forever. Let's choose how we speak today. Let's let no unwholesome word proceed from our mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification. And I don't have this verse memorized yet, according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. We are blessed. We've been given a role. We've been given a role and an opportunity. And so if you have an idea for something you'd like to do following Jesus, and you don't know how to do the next thing, reach out to us. You can reach out to me in the community. You can find me in Follower of One. I'm all over the place on the internet. I'm happy to help any believer live out their faith on a daily basis. If you can step into that calling inside of a Follower of One community, join us, and we'll help you. There are people in the community that can help you too. And then also, please consider helping Follower of One. Help make a donation to this ministry. Maybe it's time for you to make a contribution to this community, paying forward what you've received. The people who are on here and the people that you see, a lot of the people that you see are major supporters of this organization already. And so I'm grateful for their gifts. Volunteering time and money is what builds this community. And it's the community is where we help our brothers and sisters live out our faith. The Marketplace Mission Trip is one of the ways we do that too. And we have a mission trip starting in just over a month. It begins in July. July the 12th is our next Marketplace Mission Trip. We're going to also have a members meeting. We're going to start having monthly members meetings soon. Stay tuned for that. Thanks so much for being a member or being a participant or being a listener to Follower of One. We're excited about living out our faith every day. And we hope that everyone can help someone else move one notch closer to Jesus today. The world needs believers to look like Jesus. The world, unfortunately, gets them looking like this. So we have to do what we can to let Jesus shine through us. And letting no unwholesome word proceed from our mouth is one of the ways to do that. Thanks so much for being a Marketplace minister. Thanks for joining me today on this live stream. And thanks for joining in our online community. But God is good. He is moving and he is working in our lives. And he has a role and an opportunity and a work for us. And what we do will matter forever. Thanks so much for being a member or follower of One. Thanks for joining me in this online community. And thank you for living out your faith every day, because everything that we do because we follow Jesus matters forever. Thanks very much.